अनंत कोटि वैष्णविन की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास हरि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। नवद्वीप धाम की जय। मायापुर धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga Krishna Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Swami Nityanamani. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Sritatmani Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Nityanamani. Narayana Namaskritya Narum Chaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Gujirayat. Nashtaprayesu abhadresu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavatu Tamasnuke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Okay. So, good morning, dear devotees. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 8. And this morning we are going to discuss text 7. Okay. Rutam kiletad bhagavata nena nivriti dharma rataya sanat kumara sachaha sanat kumaraya sachaha prishta sankyayan yangad sankhya yanga veta vrataya Rutam kiletad bhagavat atmena niveti dharma bhiratayatena sanat kumara yasachaha prishta sankhya yanga drita vritaya Pruktam kiletad bhagavatadnina Niviti dharma bhirata yatena sanat kumarasa sanat kumaraya satya prishta sankhya yanangadita vitaya. Hare Krishna. Please stand.
Hare Krishna. Proktam kilaitad bhagavatatmena nivriti dharma ratayatena sanat kumaraya sachaha prista sankhya yangadrita vrataya.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Proktam kilaitat bhagavatamena nivritti dharmabhirataya tena sanat kumaraya sachaha prishtha sankhyayanangadhrita vrataya.
Hi.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Proktam किलैतद् भागवतमेन निवृत्तिधर्माभिरताया तेन सनत्कुमाराय साच्याः पृष्टाः साङ्ख्यायनायाङ्ग धृतव्रताय Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Proktam kilaitad bhagavata mena nivritti dharma birataya tena sanat kumaraya sachaha prishta sankaya nayanga drita rataya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
कृष्ण उक्तं किलैताद् भगवत्तमेन निवृत्तिधर्मा विरताय तेन सनत्कुमाराय स चाह पृष्ट साङ्ख्यायनायङ्गहितव्रताय
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Proktam
Krishna.
kilaitad bhagavatina mena nivritti dharma virayata tena samat kumaraya sachaha pristhaya shankhaya na angaya thrita bhatrataya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay. So we do word for word now. Proktam was said. Kila certainly. Etat this. Bhagavatamina by Lord Sankarshan. Nivritti renunciation. Dharma abhirataya unto one who has taken this religious vow. Tena by him. Sanat Kumaraya unto Sanat Kumara. Sa he. Cha also. Aha said. Prishta when inquired of. Sankhyayanaya unto the great sage Sankhyayan. Anga, my dear Vidura. Drita, Drita, Vitaya, unto one who has taken such a vow. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Sankarshan thus spoke the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam to the great sage Sanat Kumara, who had already taken the vow of renunciation. Sanat Kumara also in his turn, when inquired of by Sankyayan, Sankyayan Muni, explained Srimad Bhagavatam as he had heard it from Sankarshan. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. That is the way of the Parampara system. Although Sanat Kumara, the well-known great saintly Kumara, was in the perfect stage of life, still he heard the message of Srimad Bhagavatam from Lord Sankarshan. Similarly, when he was questioned by Sankyayan Rishi, he spoke to him the same message he had heard from Lord Sankarshan. In other words, unless one hears from the proper authority, one cannot become a preacher. In devotional service, therefore, the 2 items out of 9, namely hearing and chanting, are most important. Without hearing nicely, one cannot preach the message of Vedic knowledge. Om Gyanati Virandasya, Gyana Gyana Shalakaya, Chakshu Amritam Dhyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Dhyena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Vitapata Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupa Sagajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Panamani Hari Priya. Vanchakapaturu Vishya Kripasindhi Eva Chapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Pranaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravan Pacharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Charini Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Premapadayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gurachise Namaha Ananda Lilamaya Vigrahaya Himadri Vichavishandaraya Tasmi Mahaprem Raspadaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Hare Krishna. Translation again. Lord Sankarshan spoke the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam to the great sage Sanat Kumara, who had already taken the vow of renunciation. Sanat Kumara also in his turn, when inquired of by Sankhyayan Muni, explained Srimad Bhagavatam as he had heard it from Sankarshan. Hare Krishna. So, as Srila Prabhupada explained, this is the way of the Parampara system. We have to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, but more importantly, we have to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from a person who is authorized, who has received the mercy of Krishna, who has received the mercy of the spiritual master. And as we're hearing Lord Sankarshan speaking Bhagavatam, Sankyayan Muni hearing Bhagavatam would also speak Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is to be passed forward, or passed down, I should say, and passed down to anyone who wants to hear it. Lord Chaitanya does not put any exception to anyone who comes to Krishna. If he would put conditions, many of us would never become Krishna conscious. It is free to hear about Krishna, and it is actually advised that hopefully what we hear takes some effect. It transforms us. Hearing alone, as important as it is, has to follow, has to be followed with applying it in our lives so that we become changed, or as the word is used in its kind, purified. When we become better devotees, we'll also become happier devotees. His Holiness Radhanath Swami was talking the other day, he said the best thing for a person who is a devotee is to be a happy devotee. A happy devotee. And then he said, even better than that is to have a whole temple full of happy devotees. Happiness is very much connected to the understanding and application of Bhagavad Gita principles and Srimad Bhagavatam principles. Srimad Bhagavatam is more detailed, and as it is said, it's a spotless Purana. So Srimad Bhagavatam was passed on, and as we well know, Srimad Bhagavatam, the Srila Prabhupada has translated and given purports to, was spoken to Maharaj Pariksit by the great saint Shukadeva Goswami, who's himself a pure devotee of the Lord, and a resident of the Golok, very much connected with Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani's pet parrot in the spiritual world is Shukadeva Goswami. So he's actually called Shuka. That's his name. In the spiritual world, it's called Shuka. And then it goes here, so much that he did, he was with in a manner of speaking, his mistress is, serving Srimati Radharani wonderfully. There's a whole pastime as to how he came to hear Srimad Bhagavatam as a parrot first, and then later on as Sukadeva Goswami. It's all connected with Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva was the one that was speaking Srimad Bhagavatam to Parvati. And the parrot Shuka perched on a tree very close to where they were sitting and heard Srimad Bhagavatam that way. Then later on, when he went to the hermitage of one who became its father, later on, Vyasadeva, he heard more because he was also speaking. Same situation, similar situation, speaking Bhagavatam to his wife. So now in this purport here, translation, Lord Sankashan is speaking purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. In other words, describing Srimad Bhagavatam, what it is about, to the great sage Sanat Kumara. The Kumaras are four, and Sanat Kumara is one of them. They were actually impersonalists at first, but then when they went to the spiritual world of Vaikuntha, their minds changed and they became fully fledged bhakti type yogis. And their history is wonderful. We won't get into it now. But more about Srimad Bhagavatam being explained. Sankayan Muni also explained it. And Srila Prabhupada says, in devotional service, 2 items out of 9, the first 2, hearing and chanting are most important. When he's categorized hearing and chanting, Srila Prabhupada has said, chanting, of course, is even more important because that's what connects us to the spiritual world. That's what helps us to develop love of Godhead. But then Srila Prabhupada said the first thing is to hear. You get to know anything when you hear it or read it. So to understand what devotional service is about, as Krishna says, Bhakti Amam Janati, you get to know me only through Bhakti. Devotional service, hearing about it, explains what Bhakti is about. That's why practically all of the distinguished personalities and expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they all connect with Srimad Bhagavatam. All of them. Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, but Krishna's incarnations have spoken items of wisdom that are in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the cornerstone of our lives. When we understand it that way, then we'll be very, very fortunate because life then would take on a much better meaning to us. As in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 18, this is about the sages in Naimisharanya, who Sutta Goswami went and heard Bhagavatam and then came to Naimisharanya to speak to them. And the translation of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.18, it says, O wise Sutta, so please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations. So we're asking specifically for the incarnations of the Lord. Such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal powers. And then the very next text, they continue, it says, we never get tired of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. And then it says, those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationships with him relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment. Every moment. Now, we shouldn't just think, Srila Prabhupada has made this correction to us, we shouldn't just think that pastimes are only rasa dance and the childhood pastimes. And yeah, they are all wonderful. Satyavati Muni says, I'd rather just stick with the pastimes of the Lord when he was a child, because that alone is so transcendently intoxicating. Yes, that point is there, but Srila Prabhupada, being a spiritual doctor, he had to help us to understand that everything about the Supreme Personality of Godhead is wonderful. Even things that he did outside of Vrindavan. the creation. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, Mahavishnu. All of the activities are very, very, very pleasing. So we should open up to hearing and relishing. The sages in Amsterdam says they relish the Supreme Personality of Godhead's pastimes relation when it's related to us or told to us. So Bhagavatam is the spotless Purana. It is a ripened fruit. And there is a literature in the Vedas called Srimad Bhagavatam, glorification, Srimad Bhagavatam Mahatmya, glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam. And it talks more about, as part of the book, the speaker and the hearer, the person who is speaking and the person who is hearing, like in this case, the one we know of, that Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken by Shukadeva Goswami, and Maharaj Pariksit was the hearer. Of course, the hearer is also one that gets to ask questions. So the speaker and the hearer have a great chance to attain the supreme abode of the Lord. The speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam and the hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam all have a chance of going back to Godhead. That's how important Srimad Bhagavatam is, and that we need to understand that. So in one situation, when the Pandavas had finished their, being part of servants of Krishna and Krishna's pastimes, they had finished. It means the war was over. Maharaj Yudhishthira had been given the throne, and he's heard that Krishna has wound up his activities. Arjuna came and told him, and now that was a sign that they also had to leave. So what did Maharaj Yudhishthira do? Well, he appointed Maharaj Pariksit to be the king, and he was based in Hastinapur, Maharaj Pariksit. Now, there was another king, because there was Dwarka. The Lord had left Dwarka. Both of them, well, before I mentioned, Maharaj Pariksit was was king for a relatively short time, literally, because of the curse, and he had to go back. Krishna arranged for Shringi to curse him, and so that he could begin to go back. And when he left the kingdom, then of course he came to the banks of the Ganga, and then Krishna arranged again for Shukadeva Goswami to meet him there, and that's how Bhagavatam was spoken. Now, in Dwarka, also for that short period, Maharaj Yudhishthira appointed another personality. And this personality was the grandson of Pradyumna. His name is Vajranava. King Vajranava was also given for a short period of time rulership, this time in Dwarka. Of course, Dwarka later on, everything was wound up. Dwarka was actually wound up being at the bottom of the ocean. But King Vajranava, grandson of Pradyumna, visited Maharaj Pariksit. And at the time that he visited Maharaj Pariksit, Uddhava, the Uddhava, friend very much resembling Krishna, he was also there. So in Srimad Bhagavatam Mahatmya, chapter 3 has a little description of what happened. Now, this is Sita Goswami telling the sages what happened there. So Sita Goswami is saying, seeing everyone engaged in glorifying Lord Krishna, then Uddhava offered his respects to both of them, Maharaj Pariksit and Vajranava, and then embraced them. Then he started speaking to Maharaj Pariksit. He said, "O king, you are certainly glorious." This is Uddhava talking to Maharaj Pariksit. Your desire has been fulfilled by your undivided devotional service to Lord Krishna, because your mind is absorbed in the Sankirtan festival. It is your great fortune that you have such incomparable affection for Vajranava, and Krishna's queens. Now, Vajanabha, remember, was the grandson of Pradyumna, but for a short time a king at Dwarka. So then Uddhava was referring to him. That is the fortune, you, Maharaj Pariksit, that you have such great affection for this particular king, who is a grandson of Pradyumna, installed there by Maharaj Yudhishthira, and then also for Krishna's queens. So again, the way Uddhava put it, he said, even though he praised Maharaj Pariksit, he's also said this is quite proper because Krishna has given you this body and power. So what do we learn from it? Our bodies, our minds are to be used not only to love devotees, but also to serve devotees and be very welcoming to any opportunity that we get to serve. And I'm talking about devotees, to serve devotees. You should never downplay the whole opportunity to serve devotees and play up serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because he himself has said, Mad Bhakta Puja Abhyadika. When you do puja to my devotee, a pure devotee, I am more pleased than even when you do sacrifices to me directly. So this point was being made by Uddhava. So then it's being described in Srimad Bhagavatam Mahatmya that Lord Hari, Krishna, he appears at the end of Dwapara Yuga, know that, in the 28th Yuga cycle. The Yuga cycle is the Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali, the 28th Yuga cycle. Then he lifts the covering of Maya, and then he becomes manifest. So Maharaj Pariksit, the time of those manifest pastimes, the Lord, has now ended. Therefore, I will tell you the means of having Krishna, how Krishna manifests within one's heart. Then the answer he gave says, I will tell you how Krishna manifests. How does he manifest? When we don't see Krishna present in the planet performing his pastimes, because he wandered up, he says, when the Lord is unmanifest, he will appear from Srimad Bhagavatam. So Krishna is with us. As long as Srimad Bhagavatam is with us, Krishna is with us. So whenever and wherever the devotee of the Lord, devotee Bhagavat, hears and also recites the book, Srimad Bhagavatam, at that time and that place, Lord Krishna personally appears. Now, we may not have the eyes to see him because we are, having these materially covered type of eyes. Lord Brahma has already talked about it, that, we have to have the eyes tinged with the salve of love to see Krishna. Lord Chaitanya is helping us to chant better, more attentively, so we can see Krishna. But when we're hearing, and there's a reciter of Bhagavatam, the Lord personally appears. Then he continued, this is Uddhava speaking, wherever even a verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, or even half a verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is recited, Lord Krishna, as well as his beloved gopis, manifest at that place. So this is the power of connecting to Srimad Bhagavatam. And that's why it said in Bhagavatam itself, Nityam Bhagavatam Sevaya. We have to be connected with Bhagavatam on a daily basis. Therefore, those who come on every morning to hear Bhagavatam are doing exactly the right thing that needs to be done. So now he looks at it from the other side. Those who attain human birth, like us, but especially in the land of Bharat, India, and they don't hear Srimad Bhagavatam due to being involved in sinful activities, they are committing spiritual suicide. And he made another point, that a person who regularly hears or recites Srimad Bhagavatam delivers the forefathers of his wife, mother, and father. So a person who regularly hears or recites, bringing these points out to see the advantage of just listening and reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyone who does that delivers the forefathers, that means the ancestors, of his spouse, and then his own parents. Both families, the ancestors get delivered just by hearing. After many lifetimes of performing pious activities, when a person finally achieves full perfection and he obtains the Srimad Bhagavatam, then by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, one's devotional sentiments are awakened and the Lord manifests within the heart. So these are all the advantages, some of the advantages, I should say, of connecting with Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, a person that appreciates Srimad Bhagavatam is a person that has performed pious activities for lifetimes. Now, that explains why some people don't get turned on to Krishna, and some people, a few people, turn on to Krishna. Why there are fewer? As Srila Prabhupada said, he was asked a question one time in the morning walk. One of his disciples said, but Srila Prabhupada, if this Krishna consciousness is so much, so important that it literally saves a person, how come so many people aren't coming? They don't want salvation? Srila Prabhupada says, when you're selling diamonds in the store, how many people come? The diamonds are the best, but how many people come? People can't connect with it so well. Or it is at a level that some people who know what they're doing go for it. So it takes lifetimes and lifetimes of more goodness activities for a person to get to that point where Srimad Bhagavatam is attracted to them. Now, so when we read, then the connection. Prabhupada says the Lord, the love of God is already there, but it's covered up. Srimad Bhagavatam awakens that whole situation, and then the Lord manifests within the person's heart. So these are all advantages of hearing. And Lord Brahma heard Srimad Bhagavatam, and from hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, he got the impetus to do his work of creating the varieties in the universe from hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Vishnu heard Srimad Bhagavatam, and he said that I will accept the path of poverty and liberty due to the need for fruitive activities and philosophical knowledge. Now, this is his work. This is Lord Vishnu who maintains. Remember, Lord Brahma creates, Vishnu maintains, and Shiva destroys. So from that standpoint, Lord Vishnu is saying, I will duly maintain the living entities. So he even said that when there's decline in religious principles, I will accept various incarnations in order to reestablish the principles of religion. Just from hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Lord Vishnu. So Lord Vishnu hears Srimad Bhagavatam. You say, oh, Lord Vishnu is practically everything talked about is Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, is there a need to hear it? They also relish. This is Lord Vishnu being spoken to. This is part of the conversation. Little bits and pieces we're describing here. Narayan and Lord Vishnu were having this conversation. So I should have told you that earlier. In order to achieve fulfillment of your desires, Lord Narayan is telling Lord Vishnu, just recite Srimad Bhagavatam. So the importance of Srimad Bhagavatam goes all the way up to Lord Vishnu's level. And it's explained in Gita Mahatmya, not Gita Mahatmya, but Bhagavatam Mahatmya, Srimad Bhagavatam Mahatmya. The Lord Vishnu was very pleased to receive this instruction from Lord Narayan. And he engaged every month, along with Lakshmi Devi, in the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam. So they recite Srimad Bhagavatam, Lakshmi and Vishnu. We know that Lord Vishnu's pastimes is relaxed, wonderful, on the bed by Anantashesh in the ocean. But now we know something else. We spend their time reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, Lakshmi Devi and Lord Vishnu. Hmm? So how important it is for us if they do it. Hmm? Lord Shiva also hears Srimad Bhagavatam and also recites Srimad Bhagavatam. And he also, it's explained, just the hearing of it helps him to be focused in his work of annihilation of the material universes. So, Srimad Bhagavatam is that important. Brihaspati hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, he was also instructed by Lord Narayan on the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we're picking bits and pieces here of Gita Mahatmya. It'd be nice to hear the whole thing, but we won't have time. So we'll come back to Uddhava. He said he heard the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam from Brihaspati. That was his spiritual master. And then he's a spiritual master of the demigods too. But now Uddhava is calling him as a Shiksha Guru because the Guru is speaking, the person that's speaking, the pure transcendental information of Bhagavatam, of the Shastra, he becomes, at least for the time, becomes the Shiksha Guru. So Uddhava is giving Brihaspati that kind of respect. He told these two kings, Maharaj Pariksit and Vajanab, that he has become very happy by hearing the instructions of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Uddhava talking. So, even through Srimad Bhagavatam, his friendship has increased even more. His friendship to Krishna. He's a friend of Krishna, as we well know. Krishna sent him to Vrindavan to serve the beloved gopis. And Uddhava is saying that when he got to Vrindavan, there were feelings of separation from the gopis. They were feeling very, very, very down, for lack of a better word, because Krishna was gone, separation with Krishna. He had gone to Mathura at that time. Krishna sent Uddhava there to Vrindavan. And Uddhava says, among the things that he told the gopis, he also helped the gopis to be freed of the pains of separation by teaching Srimad Bhagavatam to them. And he fashioned it according to the way they like to understand. They like at the level that they feel more attracted to. But it was still Srimad Bhagavatam, presented in a wonderful way so they could take it. Because the gopis are very practical. You can't present things just theoretical to them. You have to be interested in that. The Bhagavatam can be presented very, very, very nicely. As Maharaj Pariksit told his mother also about Srimad Bhagavatam, but he fashioned it in such a way that Uttara could really relate to it so well. And that is what Brihad Bhagavatamrita is about. It's actually still the principles of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Maharaj Pariksit, now, Srila Goswami is speaking. Remember, that's what I said at first. This is all being related by him. So we'll come back to Srila Goswami. So after hearing this, Maharaj Pariksit offered his obeisances to Uddhava, and then he said to him, "O Uddhava, servant of Lord Hari, you should certainly narrate Srimad Bhagavatam. Whatever is necessary for me to do in this regard, please order me." So Uddhava was very pleased to hear that Maharaj Pariksit is saying that he should actually be involved everywhere in speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, which he did. He did for 1 month. And the story unfolds this way. Uddhava and Maharaj Pariksit are now speaking. So Uddhava is telling him, "O king, since Lord Krishna has left this world, the influence of Kali Yuga has become very prominent. So now we're diving into the beginnings of Bhagavatam. Whenever the auspicious activities are being performed, Kali is creating disturbances. Therefore, you, Maharaj Pariksit, should go out and subdue the influence of Kali everywhere. And then Uddhava said, I will remain here in Hastinapur and then recite Srimad Bhagavatam while you're gone for 1 month, and anyone who comes to hear will relish the mellows of Srimad Bhagavatam, and that person will attain the Lord's eternal abode. So then Uddhava has told Maharaj Pariksit, go subdue Kali. And Maharaj Pariksit was very, very, very pleased by the thought of having to subdue Kali. Maharaj Pariksit is a Kshatriya. But there was something in his mind that was putting him in anxiety. So he decided to tell Uddhava. He said, yes, oh Prabhu, I'm eager to bring Kali Yuga under my control as you've instructed. But then how will I hear Srimad Bhagavatam? You asked me to go, but you're going to speak Srimad Bhagavatam, and I'll be gone trying to deal with Kali. I've also come to take shelter at your feet. Therefore, somehow you should be merciful to me. You Uddhava are going to be speaking Bhagavatam. I'll be gone. How would I hear it? So somehow you should be merciful to me. So when he told that, when he, Maharaj Pariksit, told that to Uddhava, then Uddhava said, there's no need, O king, for you to be worried, because you are the most eligible candidate to receive Srimad Bhagavatam. The people in this world are always engaged in all kinds of fruitive activities. They don't even know the importance of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. But by your mercy, O king, many people in this land of Bharatvarsha will achieve eternal happiness by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he revealed the great sage Srila Shukadeva Goswami, who is a representative of Lord Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, will recite Srimad Bhagavatam to you. So we know how this all unfolded through Shringi and Shamkarishi, and then Maharaj Pariksit getting cursed. But it started with Uddhava telling him, listen, Kali is trying to influence now this world. You go after him. And then Maharaj Pariksit said, but you're going to speak Bhagavatam. You said that. I'm going to miss that. So I'm unfortunate in that sense, even though the task that you've given me to deal with Kali is very important too. But then Uddhava said, Shukadeva Goswami, who is a representative of Lord Krishna, will recite Srimad Bhagavatam to you. So Maharaj Pariksit was told about that. And of course, the rest of his pastime, we know how it all unfolded when he was in the forest. I mean, first he also met, before that, he met the cow and the bull. And the cow's legs had been beaten, 3 of them. Austerity, cleanliness, and mercy had all been compromised. And truth, to this day, we know truth is very much challenged these days in people's lives. They're accepting untruth as like a way of life now, which is most unfortunate. But people are doing it. But this is how it happened. So Maharaj Pariksit was told ahead of time that Shukadeva Goswami will, at some point in his life, he should just go after Kali, but at some point in his life, this will happen, where Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken to him by Maharaj Pariksit. So Maharaj Pariksit already knew that this would happen. So we can say he wasn't surprised at the time that he had only 7 days to live, that Shukadeva Goswami showed up at the banks of the Ganga to fulfill the promise that Uddhava told Maharaj Pariksit. So then Shaunaka Rishi, again, we're going back to Namisharanya. Shaunaka said, O Sutta, may you live a long life and continue instructing us. Today, we've heard the wonderful glories of Bhagavatam from your mouth. So describe to us, please, by your mercy, the characteristic of Srimad Bhagavatam, its authenticity, and the procedure for hearing, and then the symptoms. Look at it, the time now, or the speaker and the listener. There's so much to talk about. So Sutta Goswami was asked to talk about the characteristics of Bhagavatam, how authentic it is, the procedure for hearing, and the symptoms of both speaker and listener. So Srila Goswami responded that first, the characteristic of Srimad Bhagavatam and the personality of Godhead, they are both Satchidananda, eternal, full of knowledge, and bliss. Now, a few people who have been following Brihad Bhagavatamrita will probably not be surprised to hear this. The characteristic of Srimad Bhagavatam and the personality of Godhead are both eternal, full of knowledge, and bliss. So why would he put it this way? The characteristics of Bhagavatam and the personality of Godhead. We know the personality of Godhead is Satchidananda. We know that. But the characteristic is Satchidananda. Well, the response to that is given in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Srimad Bhagavatam is a personality. Just like we know that the personality of Bhakti is Srimati Radharani. All of these Shastras are also personalities. So, the personality of Srimad Bhagavatam, and there are times in volume 2 of Bhagavatamrita that we're reading now, there's actually the personality of Srimad Bhagavatam speaking. So we can't imagine how we live here, but the Lord is absolute. And now we know characteristics of Shastra are also personalities. Then Srila Goswami continued that you should know that whatever transcendental sweet words comes from the mouth of those whose hearts are attached to Krishna, whatever transcendental sweet words comes from those people who are attached to Srimad Bhagavatam, those statements are also Srimad Bhagavatam. You have to understand, he's telling him that Bhagavatam consists of knowledge, realized knowledge, and the limbs of devotional service, such as hearing and chanting. And it is expert in eradicating the influence of Maya, the illusory energy. Now remember, we had talked about the fact that when Krishna is not manifest during his pastimes, he's here in Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Vedavyas is described the conversation between Pariksit Maharaj and Shukadeva Goswami for the benefit of everybody in the world. Intelligent, not intelligent, does not matter. This is Srimad Bhagavatam. It has 18,000 verses, and it is the only shelter for those who are captured by the crocodile of Kali. This is how he put it. So, a few more points about it. Bhagavatam is the only wealth of those who are completely devoid of material desires, and those who are greedy to relish hearing and chanting about the pastimes of Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam is the medicine to cure the material disease of those who are indifferent to the miseries of material existence, those who shun material existence, and those who desire liberation. Therefore, everyone should carefully serve Srimad Bhagavatam. So, even those who want material enjoyment and advancement in material life, if they hear Srimad Bhagavatam in this Kali Yuga, they will be greatly benefited. Just like Dhruva Maharaj's situation, that he wanted a big planet in the material world, bigger than Brahmaloka. But when he met Lord Vishnu, he changed his mind then. He changed his mind. He says, I was going after cut glass. Now I have the real Supreme Personality of Godhead in front of me. So the Lord is saying, we'll see a little bit about chapter 5 and then we stop, maybe for a couple more minutes. Because, we have about 5 minutes. Supreme Lord, this is Srimad Bhagavatam Mahatmya, chapter 5, describing the results of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and the condition of those who are against such hearing. The results of hearing and those who are against such hearing. That's chapter 5 of Srimad Bhagavatam Mahatmya. So the Lord is saying, this time he's speaking to Brahma, one should regularly hear the famous Srimad Bhagavatam with faith. Hmm? And we should know, it says, Grandfather Brahma, you should know for certain that such hearing is the only means of satisfying me. This is the Supreme Lord speaking to Brahma. One who daily reads Srimad Bhagavatam will attain every syllable, with every syllable of Srimad Bhagavatam, the results of giving a cow in charity. That result, just every syllable of Srimad Bhagavatam gives us the result of like we're giving a cow in charity. One who daily reads or hears even half or a quarter of a verse of Srimad Bhagavatam attains the result of giving 1,000 cows in charity. So every syllable of Srimad Bhagavatam is like giving a cow in charity. And you eat even half or a quarter of a whole verse of Bhagavatam, it's like giving 1,000 cows in charity. This is what we're sitting on, and don't know. I know I speak for myself when I say that we don't know the extent of benefit of connecting with Srimad Bhagavatam. If devotees knew that, they'd be rushing everywhere that Srimad Bhagavatam is, they'll make sure they're there. So, persons who worship the Vaishnava literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, in their house, they are freed from all sins and become worshipable even by the demigods. There's so much advantage to connecting with Srimad Bhagavatam. In Kali Yuga, one who doesn't keep Srimad Bhagavatam in his house can never be delivered from the control of Jamraj. So this is our clue. We gotta have Srimad Bhagavatam at home. Connect with Srimad Bhagavatam. Otherwise, we're still going to be controlled by Jamraj, which means, and he's even saying, how can one consider themselves a Vaishnava who does not keep Bhagavatam in his house? That person is more abominable than a Chandala. That's the other side of it, those who are averse to Srimad Bhagavatam. Those who are averse to it, they are more abominable than even dog eaters. So the Lord is telling Lord Brahma, my dear son, you, the Lord of the universe, for my pleasure, the pleasure of Lord Vishnu, and the pleasure of Vaishnavas, one should keep Srimad Bhagavatam with devotion. He says, wherever the auspicious Srimad Bhagavatam is recited, I am there, along with all of the demigods. And even the holy rivers, the kunds, the lakes, all the pujas, the 7 sacred cities, the cities that is Ayodhya, Mathura, Haridwar, Kashi, Kanchi, Avanti, which is Ujjain, and Dwarka, and all the holy mountains are present where Bhagavatam is discussed. So we do our little, meetings every morning on Zoom, but this is the effect it's having. The Lord is there, the gopis are there, where Bhagavatam is being spoken. The holy rivers are there. All of these are personalities, so they hear easily. As we are also told that when we have Rath Yatra, the demigods come and literally, physically are among us, but they have themselves disguised so we can't tell who they are. But then they are in the wonderful time of praising Lord Jagannath and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So we are very fortunate to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is, with the time that we have, a little bit of description of the wealth that Srimad Bhagavatam gives to everyone that listens to it. And that is why it is so important, and we can never completely thank Srila Prabhupada for the wonderful work that he has done translating Srimad Bhagavatam and giving purports to the extent that he has done. All praise to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we'll stop here. Hare Krishna. And, that's up to you, whatever you want to say. Connecting with Srimad Bhagavatam or any questions that you may have. You might want to unmute yourself and join in a little Krishna Katha conversation. Hare Krishna.
Go ahead, Mother Shamagori.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Prabhu.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Accept our obeisances. Glory to the Prabhupada.
Just kind of stupid question, I guess, but we
There is
have
nothing like that. There is nothing like Go ahead, yes.
no, we have more students around here. So when you said that, we have to have Bhagavatam in our house,
Okay, go ahead.
and like the students who keep moving around, it's not easy for them to have the whole set of Bhagavatam. And the other thing is like nowadays we have the database, so
Yes.
everyone has Srimad Bhagavatam in their phone actually.
Mm-hmm.
So does that the line you said still applies, or? And I'm just talking about the practical situation.
Yeah, ask the question again because you broke up, at least on my end here. I didn't hear the question. I know you
No,
said that they have Srimad Bhagavatam. Let me tell you what I heard. Srimad
yeah,
Bhagavatam, and the students they even have it on their cell phones now. They have access to it. Okay. And then what was your question?
I don't remember the whole line you said that. Where is that from? The line you said from is like everyone should have Srimad Bhagavatam at house in our house.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise we don't get delivered or something. You said that line.
The point that is that Srimad Bhagavatam should be, yes, it's put that way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody should have Srimad Bhagavatam. But if you have Srimad Bhagavatam in your cell phone, you're literally carrying Srimad Bhagavatam with you. Therefore, that answers the question. The person has access to Srimad Bhagavatam, and Srimad Bhagavatam is with them wherever they are.
Mm.
So, some of these things, sometimes we think, oh, well, but people who just wanted money, commies, they came up with the cell phone and so on. But we are like the snake in the 24 gurus that the Avadut Brahman was serving. I'll explain by the mercy of Guru and Guranga. Shiva Papa actually made this analogy, and that's why I bring it up here. The snake is one who lives in a hole, but he doesn't make the hole. It's the rat that makes the hole, or those that can dig, they make the hole. And they live in, and the snake comes, and when the mouse or the rat sees the snake, they run away. And the snake occupies the hole. So in fact, the rat digs a hole on one side, and then it turns it, makes it like a horseshoe, and digs all the way up to the other end too. So when the snake comes from one side, he runs the other side and runs away. But then the snake occupies it. So the point we're making, Srila Prabhupada is saying, is that let them go ahead and come up with all kinds of gadgets, and we will use it in Krishna's service, just like we do now on Zoom. That's somebody else's creation electronically. So it's become possible. The point we're making is it's become possible now to have Srimad Bhagavatam not only in the house, but actually with us. So yes, the results are still the same. Because after all, the point is to have Srimad Bhagavatam, to recite Srimad Bhagavatam, and to relish Srimad Bhagavatam. And if that's done on the cell phone, so be it. So yeah, they have benefit. They have benefit. Literally, Srimad Bhagavatam, before cell phones are there, you have to have it in your house. People don't carry it. They come and then they read Srimad Bhagavatam. But if you can have it with you only because of what now the mouse has produced, the electronic people have produced it, and you're the snake, you get to use it, sure. So
That's very nice analogy. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice class.
Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy.
It's Golokananda prayer. Yeah.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
You're trying to, you speak a lot about, the importance of having Srimad Bhagavatam, or reading Srimad Bhagavatam, or hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. I don't think, sometimes, maybe you're traveling, you're busy, you don't listen to class. Maybe you don't have access to listen to class. I think, is it okay that you memorize some verses from Srimad Bhagavatam and just recite them? That also is counted like you're hearing, you're chanting Srimad Bhagavatam. Is it equivalent? Just
Srimad Bhagavatam, any part of Srimad Bhagavatam has wonderful benefit. Remember, one of the things in the Srimad Bhagavatam Mahatmya that we mentioned is that if you hear a syllable or read a syllable, that's not even a word now. It's a syllable. That's part of a word. From Srimad Bhagavatam, you get the benefit like you've donated a cow in charity. So the answer to your question is, if you haven't read, like sitting down on a daily basis to hear like that, but you have some text from Srimad Bhagavatam and you memorize that and you read that, that's the question you're asking. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Bhagavatam is Bhagavatam from east, west, south, north. Every corner of Bhagavatam is Bhagavatam. So you definitely benefit from it because you literally, when you speak Bhagavatam, your verse, I'm just taking from the way you got the question, the verse that you know, if you repeat it, is that good? Yeah, you get benefit from it because what do? We chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Don't we repeat several times though? Same thing. You repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 25,000 times. That's your 16 rounds. It's actually 27, just a little bit, 27,000. But you chant the Lord's name like that. So in repeating Bhagavatam, yes, you get benefit from it. But having said that, of course, Bhagavatam is 18,000 verses. So whenever you have time, definitely read as much as possible, hear as much as possible. But to remind yourself as Bhagavatam, connecting with Bhagavatam, because you've memorized lines in Bhagavatam and you're saying Bhagavatam, how can it be non-beneficial? It's definitely beneficial. It's definitely beneficial. In fact, you should keep doing that. You should keep doing that. Hmm? And I know how you took it. So you're not, your question is that I don't have time to sit down to hear Bhagavatam, but I memorize some verses and I repeat. But repetition of Bhagavatam puts you in the same mindset. Let's go back to one part. It just says when Bhagavatam is being read, Bhagavatam is being heard, I myself am there, the gopis are there. Therefore, if you repeat the Bhagavatam part that you memorize and you speak that Bhagavatam, you're not speaking kami stuff. You're speaking Bhagavatam, Krishna is there. That's what he promised. He said he's there. So even when you're repeating your line that you remember, that you've deliberately learned from Bhagavatam, memorized, you're still inviting Krishna. So the benefit is the same. It's there. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, sometimes, if you travel and everything, it's nice to hear that, like that you get the benefit just, by reciting it to yourself, whatever you learn.
Yeah, definitely the benefit is always, it's there. Of course, there's always a curiosity to know more. Because Srimad Bhagavatam has that kind of effect. When you relish it, when anything that's one relishes, they want to have more and more of that. So yeah, you're talking about a situation where it is not possible to physically be at a place where you can hear Srimad Bhagavatam. At the very least, should you recite those parts of Srimad Bhagavatam that you memorized? Yeah, because you speak Srimad Bhagavatam, whoever is speaking and whoever is hearing, Krishna is also there. So yeah, by memorizing like that, you invite Krishna easily.
I think that fulfills the verse Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Sakya.
Absolutely.
Always, no matter what you serve.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Serve Srimad Bhagavatam. So when you repeat what you've heard or what you've memorized, you are serving Srimad Bhagavatam. You serve it just by repeating. So that's the next best thing to, if you can't hear every single day, that you can actually pronounce the texts, and it puts you in that mood. So once you hearing it or once you speaking it, it puts you in that transcendental mood immediately. So the text that you memorize, we speak that also. Remember, there's all of these, non-devotee stuff swirling around us in this Kali Yuga. So how different it is and how wonderful it is when the mind is taken off of all of those mode of passion, mode of ignorance stuff into transcendence. just by repeating the things that you memorize from Srimad Bhagavatam. It has great effect. So don't downplay it only because you can't be physically present. But of course, there's also the other ways of listening. YouTube records it. As we said, the mouse has dug all of these holes. We are snakes, and we're going to occupy all of that. You can use YouTube too and listen to it later. Like that. That's why it's recorded for the benefit of the devotees who can't be at the time present when it's being spoken. They can hear it later. Remember, that's what happened to the sages in Naimisharanya. They were not at the Ganga to hear the conversation between Maharaj Pariksit and Shukadeva Goswami, but they heard it later when Sutta Goswami spoke to them. So you can hear later also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Accept my holy
If you don't mind, one more question.
Absolutely.
So you were saying that when we hear Bhagavatam, we will be out of danger from Yamaraj.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that was
how are we to understand? As devotees, even we will one day go away. So Yamaraj is the Lord of Death. So, but we will also die, even though we are listening. So how are we to understand what you said?
A devotee's death and a non-devotee's death are two different things in terms of the motivation behind that. A non-devotee's death is what you just described. You go to Yamaraj, this is how you lived your life, this is the thing that you did that were more goodness, this were things that you did in passion, this were things you did things that you did more ignorance. Therefore, and here are your desires, therefore, it sums up to here's where you're going, what kind of body you're gonna get, and even if you have to go to hellish planet, whatever, for a period of time, all of that's arranged by Yamaraj. Now, death to a devotee. Death to a devotee is the ticket out of the cosmic prison. For a devotee, they're leaving. For a non-devotee, they're going for the next body and the decision about what's going to happen in the next life by Yamaraj. The decision is made by Yamaraj. But the devotee doesn't see Yamaraj. The devotee is going home. But the process is still the same because it's all about coming out of the body. Death is just coming out of this physical body. And that happens to everybody. But what happens when the person comes out of the physical body? The devotee is going home, the non-devotee is going for another physical body based on what they've done in previous lives. So that's death. Death is not looked at the same way for a non-devotee as a devotee. The devotee is going home, and the non-devotee is next life, next planet, next situation, next sinful reactions that you're going to pay for. That's non-devotees. Hare Krishna. Hopefully that's acceptable to you.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any other questions? To the point of this lecture was just by Guru and Guranga's mercy for us to see the gem that we have in our hands just here in Srimad Bhagavatam, right down to even a syllable of Srimad Bhagavatam and the benefit. Syllable word and the benefit of it. It doesn't get any better than that. Let's put it that way. Hare Krishna. Right. So thank you, dear devotees, for, I'm also learning again. Before that, only yesterday that I saw, or a couple of days that I saw Srimad Bhagavatam Mahatmya on database, and I was amazed at how many things that were there about Srimad Bhagavatam, how important it is. Hare Krishna. Okay. Are there any announcements for Philadelphia Temple?
No, not that I know of.
So it's a regular afternoon, 4:30.
Yes.
Yeah, afternoon
Sunday feast
program.
program, yes.
Hare
Hope to
Krishna.
see everybody there.
Okay. Vanchakapatarubhishcha kripa sindhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shira Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you again.